Welcome to DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, so let's get started. All right, welcome to another DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, and today's special guest is Ruth Atkinson. Ruth, how are you?
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm good. Thank you.
Good. It's really exciting to have you on, and I always call it pre-show, which we talked for 5 minutes, and I said a lot of words.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny because I was talking to Kendall Rose, and I think she's one of your athletes that you've coached now or in the past, I'm not sure, and she's done some really amazing things. And she mentioned that I should talk to you, and here we are. So I appreciate you getting on.
Yeah, she's awesome. And I do still coach her. And it's been a really fun journey with her a couple of years. And it's morphed into friends running, into coach athlete, and now co-coaching, like sharing coaching ideas and coach athlete and friends. So yeah, love her. She's great.
That's pretty awesome. And I know you're with McKirdy Trained as a coach. And so
I am.
we'll dive deep into that later. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about you and your journey into running. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I did not run in school. I despised the gym mile. I was okay at it. Like, I actually was okay at it. I just hated doing it. And I played sports that involved little running, like volleyball, where you don't have to run. Running is a punishment. But I did some athletics in school. And then in college, I was a music major. So before I full-time run coached, I was a music teacher. I taught choir. And then at first I taught band. And so I was doing drum corps, which, if you don't know what that is like the NFL of marching band.
Yeah.
To put it simply. So you're running around on a field all day for 12 hours, 3 months of the year while playing your instrument. So it's very athletic, but again, not running. So that was all over. And then I was like, one night, I remember thinking, I don't have a hobby. Like, my husband plays video games at night and I just watch Grey's Anatomy. And
It's not a bad show.
It's not, but I was like, I want to do something.
Yeah.
And so
do
the
something
one
with
night,
your life instead of watching TV all night.
Yeah, I went for a run in our apartment complex. I think I made it probably a 10th of a mile. And I was like, wow, that was exhilarating. I didn't remember it feeling that way. So then I was hooked. I started running more, and eventually that year, this was December of 2018, I ran a 10K race.
What?
And I was like, I'm going to keep doing it.
You didn't do a 5K or anything like that? It was just starting off as a 10K?
It's like, if I can already I had got myself up to running 3 miles. And so, of course, the ego was like, I could already run a 5K. Why would I sign up for a 5K?
I want to go back a little bit because I'm intrigued. Did you do marching band in high school or in?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I split my time in high school between like volleyball, softball, and then music stuff. I did show choir, musicals, marching band. And then eventually I fizzled out the sports and went all in on music. So then in college, I did drum corps, marching band, the whole
Wow. My
9 yards.
son's I was just interested because he does drums right now and he loves it. But even in high school, he's a freshman, and they spend 4 weeks before school starts,
It's a
like
lot of
8 or
time.
9 hours a day, Monday through Friday, doing marching band. And
Yep.
then for the next 3 months, at least, they go to games. And then Saturday, they have competitions.
Saturday contests.
And
Oh,
Sunday
yeah.
is the only time that they don't have off. Monday through Friday is either before school or after school and during school.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is like worse than a full-time job.
It's training. Like, it's dedication. Yeah.
I love it for him, to be honest. I just think this is went from 8th grade to 9th grade, and now he loves it. He's packed. But anyways, I digress a little, but I was very intrigued in what you said. But then you said there's drumline into college and things like that. So.
Yeah. And drum corps is,
Corps.
so it's marching band without woodwinds, right? So it's just brass, color guard, and percussion. And you audition for these groups and you spend your summer doing it. So it's like the end of May through the first week of August, and you go on tour. You like learn a show, you go to spring training, you learn a show in 3 weeks, and then you go on tour across the country. You live on a bus and gym floors. High schools host you.
How fun is that?
And you spend 3 months just touring, working on your show. And then sometimes you have shows that night. You go, you perform. And then finals are actually in the Indianapolis Colts Stadium, Lucas Oil.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a whole, if you have not heard of drum corps, you should just go on the YouTube and
Well,
look it up. And show your son. It's pretty cool.
that's exactly something for him to aspire to and see if he continues on, which I think he will.
Yeah.
Anyways, we digress a little
Anyway,
bit.
music.
I think think that's intriguing. And I love that you did that. And wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. Back to running, you decided you're going to do a 10K. What happened?
Yeah, I had fun. It was funny. I wasn't sure. My husband came, right? And it was raining. And so he stayed in the car. I was like, stay in the car. I was like, just come out when I'm going to be done. And to be honest, I don't even remember what I told him I was going to run. I didn't know. I was like, just come out. I think I told him like an hour. I was like, just come out in an hour, whatever. And I had Apple Watch Series 1
Yeah.
headphones that plugged into the phone that died.
Wow.
Just dressed in way too many layers.
Yeah.
But I ended up running faster than I thought. And so I had to go, he was sleeping in the car. I had to go knock on the window. I was like, I'm
Open
done.
up a door.
Yeah, it was funny. So anyway, on the whole ride home, I was like, wow, like that was really cool. And I could do better. And you get bit with the bug.
Of course you can
And
do
so
better. Would you
I
run
ended
like
up,
a 40-something minutes or what?
no, I don't remember, to be honest. It was like 9:30 pace, I
Okay.
think.
Still pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah. I had been running 2 months at that point
Yeah.
or whatever. So I was like, this is fun. This is cool. And then I signed up for the Cowtown Half
Wow.
in February because I
Really
was like,
wanted to
well,
push
I did the
yourself.
10K. I ran that. And then I was like, I'm going to run a marathon. So I ran
Wait, hold on. Let's back up. You're very new to running and you're really quickly getting into some first race was 10K and then half. Did you
Yeah,
train at all? What was kind of your thinking around training for the half marathon?
I was a new runner,
Yeah.
right? And I had went head first into what I should do necessarily. It
Sure.
was more like I started running with Plano Running Club, love
Uh-huh.
them. And I was like, oh, these people are doing the Cowtown Half Marathon.
Might
I'll
as
just
well.
come out here. I'll start running a little longer each week. And I really did just I ran a 10K. So next I'll run 7 miles. Okay. Next weekend I'll run 8 miles. And I showed up to a
logical?
few weekday runs. I tried to be logical about it.
Yeah.
I think I was looking back a little bit stupid, a little bit
Makes sense.
gung-ho.
We're all dumb.
Every new runner, right? You just jump in. Yeah, I got myself there, ran it, and I was like, that was fun. How about what's next?
But
And
did you
instead
make
of
friends with Plano Running Club folks
Oh,
that ran
yeah.
with you? And so you
Yeah,
already got into a community. How'd you
absolutely.
find them?
I was really plugged in. At the time, I was living in Carrollton, and I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. Went to college in West Virginia at WVU. Met my husband marching drum corps in the summer of 2015. He's from Texas. So then we did 2 years long distance. And then in 2017, I
did?
moved down here. And so then 2018, right, that next year was the year I was like, I'll plug myself in, which I got into running. And then from Carrollton, I went on Facebook and was like,
Yeah.
run club near me thing, right?
Yep.
They popped up. I went to a Wednesday Starbucks run that they do in the early morning because I was teaching. So I had to
Yeah.
run early, 5 a.m. And I was like, oh, these are my people. They run early. This is great. Showed up. Shirley. I love Shirley, the leader
I just
of
had her on my
PRC.
podcast, so that's great.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She welcomes everybody. And she was like, hello, okay, you look like you belong with this group. Here you go. And I met a few girls, chased them around that morning. And again, I was hooked. I was like, I'll see y'all tomorrow.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
great.
Community is huge.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to stop there a little bit, just because I think a lot of times people want to run with somebody, and it's not always easy to push yourself to go run with people that you don't know at first. That's really what makes you better and get into it, and then you all of a sudden are hooked. And a lot of
It's-
times it's because of
yeah.
that community, and you learn a
It
lot.
really is. It really is.
know?
And you learn a lot just talking to people who've been doing it longer than you. You learn a lot and you get things that you won't take away with you and you get things that you will. And yeah, it's what really that group, I think, kept me running. Truthfully.
Yeah.
Like I started on my own, but then meeting them was like, wow, okay, people really do this. I'm going to really do this. And then it was that year when I was decided to train for the marathon that fall of 2019. At the same time, had started dabbling in wanting to get my personal training certification because
Yeah.
I loved fitness. And so I was working on my NASM while also then training to run a marathon. And I think that's what started maybe I could coach. I was a teacher. So
Yeah.
the teacher in me was like, okay. I
Yeah.
started diving like headfirst into why am I doing what I'm doing? Why is this working? Why does that not work? And all the
Feel a lot
science
smarter about running
behind
now.
it. Yeah.
And so the marathon came while you were learning how to run.
Yeah, literally.
That thing, for real, by getting potentially certified and all that stuff. But what was that like and how'd you do?
Yeah, there was a learning curve. And I think looking back, I was too aggressive. I ended up having little pesky pains that popped up. And in hindsight, it's because I was following a plan that was just too much for how much I had been running up to that point. But you don't know what you don't know. And as it went along, I was like, okay, I started figuring out why, maybe how I would do it different the next time.
Yeah.
But we made it. I made it. I ran 3:40.
It's pretty good marathon
Which
first
is
time.
pretty decent, yeah.
Yeah.
I was really happy with it and bonked like crazy, of course. My
Yeah.
fueling was horrible, but I
Mostly
learned a
is
lot.
for most people.
Yeah, I learned a lot. And yeah, it was, again, I was like, wow, I love running,
Yeah.
it
Even
confirmed.
after bonking and feeling that way.
Yeah, yeah. I think it made me want to learn more. It made me say, okay, why? How do I do better? And sprung, instead of being a personal trainer on the side of teaching, it turned into, okay, I think the running thing is actually where that passion is going to end up going.
So how did you train for that first marathon? Knowing a little bit more, but still learning. What did that look
Yeah.
like? Do you remember?
Speaking of community, right? We had then moved from Carrollton up to Little Elm that during that summer. And so I started running with Frisco Running Club because it was closer for me from my house. And I just jumped into a training plan that they were doing with the goal of the Fort Worth Marathon in the
Got it.
fall. I was like, oh, perfect. And so eager me did the plan that went up to 50 miles a week. Yeah, to not have done that. Not
Yeah, I
in
don't
my
think so.
first year of running.
Yeah.
But as I started learning more, and the one time that my knee started bothering me, and I was like, okay, this is 3 workouts a week is way too aggressive for me. 50 miles a week is too aggressive.
Mm.
It all worked out. I got there, but then I was smarter going forward.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, and it seems to be true. Is I remember my wife telling me, look, when you first start out, your body really has to adjust. And this could take years really to
Yeah.
really build up your body to run all these miles. And look, I've talked to people that have run 80 miles, 90, 100, whatever a week. But when you're first running, like, you've got to ease into that. Your
No,
body,
that happens over years, right?
yeah,
And I have some athletes sometimes that, let's say you come to me and you are an endurance athlete. Let's say you're a cyclist, right? And you have the aerobic capacity to train for 10 hours a week, but you have only run 5 miles a week because you've been biking and swimming or whatever. Like your physical body, like the mechanical stress of running also takes time to adapt. It's not that you're not fit enough to do it per se, but the mechanical adaptation takes a long time. And usually you feel good until you feel bad. And I
Exactly.
think a lot of people, they're like, I'm feeling great 2 months in. And then
Yeah.
month 3 comes and you're like, oh, I'm broken.
Exhausted.
And so it's just, there's a whole lot that comes with it. And I learned a lot. Then obviously I learned about science and was like, oh. And so obviously now if someone's coming to me as a first time marathoner, we are, depending on their background, of course, but
Yeah.
we're likely not doing 3 workouts a week and running 50 miles unless they are really experienced already in
Yeah.
running.
No, that makes
So-
sense. And I want to dive more into that in a bit. But
Yeah.
so you get your first marathon done in 2019. COVID, I know, is going about to hit. What happened around that time?
Yeah, I stayed running. I remember I actually got into the Chicago lottery at some point, but then actually was injured for that, so deferred to 2022. What did I do in 2020? I just kept running.
Yeah.
Oh, and then
A lot of
actually
us.
McKirdy had a micro marathon in March of 2021
Okay.
that was put on in that same area of Fort Worth. So it was like 50 people, really small to be safe on the tail end of COVID. So I ran that marathon in early 2021. Yeah.
And how'd
Yep.
you find out about it? Would you just Googling
Well,
it?
yeah, I had run with people who were coached by someone at McKirdy. It was right before I started getting coached through
Got it.
McKirdy.
Okay.
So it was, oh, McKirdy exists. And then I ended up getting coached then there.
So you were coached by them for a while.
Yes.
Okay.
Coach Michelle was my coach for 2.5 years before I was then brought on as a coach also. And now James McKirdy is my coach.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. So how'd you do in that marathon? Did you do a little bit better and
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
better, all that kind of stuff? What?
Yeah, I think it was like a 6-minute PR. I ran a
Okay.
3:34. I wanted to run a 3:30. At the time, the Boston time, of course, was like 3:30 for my age group. So I was hoping to run that, but it was fine. I ran a 3:34 and yeah, it was fine. It was a looped course. It was like 9 loops of
Yeah.
2 point something miles.
Did you ever get bored?
Yeah, I remember the
That'd be
7th
tough.
loop. I saw my husband the 7th time and I saw the car. And I was like, it would be really easy to just be done.
Yeah.
But I finished it out. It felt uneventful. I'm a real big fan of big races.
Yeah.
I feed off crowd energy a
Yeah.
lot. And so that it was just fine. It felt like I showed up, did a long run, and left the thing.
What's your favorite marathon then? I'm interested in.
I think so far, Chicago still has my heart.
Okay.
I ran Chicago in 2022 and I loved it. From the start to the finish, I had a ball. Yeah, favorite marathon for
What made
sure.
that so special?
Just, I don't know. Just the energy. There's something about the energy of a really big race. I like that energy. I know some people it's too much,
Yeah.
but I loved like having sound happening at me for 26 miles. I
Say
like not
sound
hearing
happening at
myself
you? That's pretty
breathing.
funny.
Yeah, I like not
Exactly.
hearing myself. I like not hearing like the super shoes on the pavement. Like I want bells and voices, and that's what world majors are like. So
They are. Yeah.
yeah, it was really fun and I had a good day and yeah, it was good. I liked
So
Chicago.
what has been your best marathon so far?
It was Eugene last year, a few months before I got pregnant, actually. Eugene 2024 in April.
Okay. How'd you do?
I did great. I ran a 3:21.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, it was good.
exciting.
Yeah. Good progression.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you had a chance to run Boston yet or?
So no, because I had my baby April 12th
Uh,
of this year, so
oh
I
man.
used the pregnancy. They have a pregnancy deferral policy,
That's great.
thankfully.
Yeah.
So I'll run this upcoming April instead.
I'll be there. She'll be at her 13th Boston Marathon in a row, and I have a lot of friends there, so maybe I'll say hello if
Yeah,
I
I'll
get to
run
see you.
into you. Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm doing now this year probably is I'll go do some quick hit videos and things like that, post it on Instagram and things like that. So just because I know a lot of people and it'd be fun to get Pegasus will be there and other big running groups within the Dallas Fort Worth area. So it'd be fun to do, I
Yeah.
think. So yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, you have Boston then coming up. So is that what's coming up for you in the near kind of?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
all that's on my radar. I ended up having a urgent C-section, so my recovery has been, I took the full 8 weeks before I even tried run walking, and it was really like 12 weeks before I could jog for 30 minutes again. So it's been a slow-ish recovery, but I'm being methodical about it, trying to come back,
Smart.
doing things the right way,
Do
strong
not
way
you should teach your folks.
for longevity. Yeah, I'm going to do exactly what I would tell someone
Yeah.
that I'm coaching to do. I'm going to do what I preach. So it's been good. I actually just ran my first 5K today.
Oh, yeah.
Postpartum, yeah, it was probably one of my slowest in a couple years, but it's where you start. I'm just excited I'll run a few local 5Ks and then really train for Boston. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like the slow, methodical. Can you talk a little bit about being a new parent? And
Yeah,
congratulations, that's really awesome. And
thanks.
the before and after, is there kind of a big difference? I'm sure there's
Yeah,
watching the baby, and I saw some of your Instagrams where you're putting the baby kind of letting him lay down, but then you're running and then coming back.
yeah,
That's pretty cool.
it's hard.
Yeah.
And there's different levels of hard depending on who you are and your life circumstance. And if your partner's able to be home at work or not working from home. And I'm thankful that my husband does work from home, makes it easier to at least have a little bit of me time to fit things in. But I always preach, one of the things I preach to athletes is flexible consistency. Right? I would rather you be really flexible with your schedule, but stay consistent than try to be perfect and end up being really inconsistent.
Yeah.
I thought I was good at that before, and I was,
Yeah.
but this is a whole new level of I can't make plans.
Yeah.
Like my plans are whatever the baby needs comes first, regardless of what I thought I was going to do. And I think that's like the hardest thing, right? Like I like running workouts on Tuesday mornings. I love it. I love going to track Tuesdays with Frisco Running Club friends and some of my athletes. But you know what? If child needs to eat and it's 4:40 a.m., I'm not leaving the house
Yeah.
because I can't. And it's just stuff like that where I'm constantly, oh, I don't have 75 minutes, but I do have 55. So I'll cut off the warm up mile and make it one. It's constantly adapting. And I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest change is being okay with having it be just good enough. Good enough
Well,
has to be good enough.
and you're a new parent, right? It's not like you've had kids before.
Yeah, it's
Everything's new, and I'm sure that's a big opportunity there. But that's awesome, though. Look, babies are great. They're hard. And
yeah,
then now it's about their convenience is not yours anymore.
yeah.
But yeah, how's the body holding up? Has that been an opportunity for you, or I know you mentioned that you're slowly taking it, but your first 5K, did your body feel it, or did you like, oh, it felt
Yeah.
decent?
Truthfully, I think first of all, I was really fortunate to have a pregnancy that allowed me to run through my pregnancy. Not everybody gets that opportunity. So I was fortunate, I think, that I was running all the way up until I had him so that, when I started back again, even though I had to take quite a bit of time off, I think my body it had been
Yeah.
adapting as I went. I felt okay today. Truthfully, my C-section scar is the thing that gives me the most trouble. It's not like
Mm,
painful. There's adhesions to some
yeah.
muscles in that area, and it's just something I'm constantly trying to work on. And yeah, the core strength thing.
So important, isn't it?
So important, and it's hard. I'm still not back to how I felt before being pregnant.
Yeah. How long has it been since you had your
I'm
baby?
6 months
Okay.
postpartum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow. Still super small.
Yeah, he's tiny, cannot crawl, can just roll over.
It's crazy how much they learn just from, and I say this all the time, from 0 to 2 or 3, where they learn to crawl, they learn to walk, they learn all kinds of stuff, starting to talk from nothing to eating with a spoon. And it's crazy
Yeah,
how much you can
it's
learn.
rapid.
Just
Yeah,
if we can learn that fast.
I know. Like, I could learn a new skill every day. Could you
Exactly.
imagine?
No, it's like a miracle, how
It
much
is.
they learn and just so fast. That's awesome. I'm super excited for you.
Thank you.
I know it's always a challenge, especially hardcore runners. And plus, you have a job and then you're coaching and you're doing a lot of stuff.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot. And he's home with us, so
Yeah.
it's like full-time mom job plus milk maker plus coaching plus
Yeah.
that's 3 jobs rolled into one, I feel like. But it's good. And obviously we love him, and we've been doing some stroller runs now that the weather is better, and
Good. Yeah.
it's good. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
I know this guy. He runs with now. His kids are getting a little older now, but he's run with the stroller for the last few years with his kids. And this guy's really fast. He's running 19-minute 5Ks with his kids, and he's just strolling along. And I'm like, dude,
It's
that's pretty
awesome.
crazy.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's doable and it's hard. He was saying, look, this is not easy. This is really
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, no,
And sometimes I see
it's
it
not
double
easy.
because
The
you got 2
doubles, I
kids.
know. It's impressive. The other day I went out for the first time when it was like pretty windy, and man, that thing is like a parachute. I was like, "Oh my gosh."
How's the baby like it?
He loves it. Right now he just looks around and usually falls asleep, so I try to
Good.
time it for one of his shorter 30-minute naps. We'll go out for an hour run, and he'll check out the trees and fall asleep, and for now, that's working.
Yeah, yeah. Tomorrow's a different story, but we'll see.
Yep, today it's still good.
Things change so rapidly, like we talked about. So you got into this marathon running and you did the McKirdy Trained marathon or mini, whatever it was for 50
Yep.
people. But then you somehow got into coaching. Or you had somebody coach you and you must have really liked it, right? In the midst of getting certified or already had got certified in different things. What does that look like?
Yeah. So I was teaching full time still. I ended up finishing my personal training certification. I actually had a couple friends who I was doing that on the side with for $5 a month just to practice using what I learned, of course.
$5 a month?
And I had started reading the Jack Daniels book
Yeah.
because McKirdy used VDOT for training. So I was like, oh, I'll read this book. And then I had asked my coach about certifications for the running thing, and the VDOT certification aligned with what I was doing and the book I had been reading anyway. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, perfect. So did that, got that. And then I just tried soaking up as much science as I could. And then a friend who was doing the personal training was like, hey, I know you got your running thing now. Can you do running for me too? And I was like, yeah, sure. Loved it. Did it more than
Well,
programming the strength stuff. So I was like, okay, this is the path that I
yeah.
am going down. So yeah, it started as 5 friends, which morphed into some friends of theirs that were strangers to me, which morphed into me doing more with my Instagram,
Yeah.
which morphed into some local friends seeing that I'm coaching. It all morphs into itself. Long story short, fast forward 3,
Yeah.
and I had enough confidence that I wanted to leave teaching full time and
What?
pursue the run coaching full time instead.
Really? Okay.
And so that I ended up leaving, I left teaching, and that summer joined McKirdy as a coach and went all in. And here we are, still all in.
So I still have questions. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
So you joined them. How did that happen? Like you said, hey, I've been doing these things.
Yeah, my coach Michelle, she knew that I was coaching. And so I share a lot on social media of what
Yep.
my athletes are doing, on my stories especially. And James was looking for coaches to come on because McKirdy was growing and you need a coach. And so Michelle, so thankful for her. She recommended that James talk to me. So then James and I hopped on a call, decided it would be a good fit, and that the rest is history. So the athletes I was coaching brought them into McKirdy, and then, yeah, here we
So
are. It's
you
been
do this
awesome.
full time, how
I
many?
do this full time.
Wow. That McKirdy Trained is pretty hardcore, about this.
Yeah.
Sounds.
Yeah.
I love it.
We're serious. It's a great community. We talked about community earlier.
Yeah.
McKirdy Trained really is, James makes an effort to make sure that athletes feel comfortable talking to him, knowing him. He's been hosting a few training concept talks for all of the athletes of all of the coaches. It really is. We try to make it a community.
Yeah.
My athletes and I have our own Discord that we have our own sub community in. It's a lot of fun. And I think coaching is so much. I think Kendall talked about this with you, and
Yeah.
I've talked about it with her. It's so much not the science. Anybody, especially now, can go into ChatGPT and say, here's what I do currently. Here's my history. Here's what I want to do. Help me. And the
Yep.
science will pop up, but you still can't get, what's your life like? Are you a mom? Are you a dad? What's your workout? You can't get the day. Here's what happened today. What should I do to change tomorrow? You can't get that from a computer. And that's what I've fallen in love with. That's the teaching part in me. I want people to know the why. I want them to understand why we're programming what we are. And that's what McKirdy believes too. Everyone deserves a chance to know why, train hard, find their best.
Well, that's
Anyway.
the intimacy of a person talking it out, listening to kind of your needs and what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to do, and then saying, hey, try this. And then, oh, that didn't work. Let's try this and this. And just those conversations and that one-to-one kind of thing. I agree. There's automated things out there to get you like ChatGPT, Cloud, whatever, but it's not the same.
No.
To have hands-on coaching.
It's not. And everyone is so individual with an individual life and individual stress. You can't, all the time use an example. I had 2 athletes around the same time, both run a 3:03 marathon. And one of them was running 45 miles a week. And one of them was running 60 miles a week.
Yeah.
And their workouts look different. Their long runs look different because they're different people.
That's right.
They came to it from a different space, but they ended up at the same result. And that is the epitome of what run coaching is. It's meeting you where you are in your circumstance and figuring out how to best serve you in that way.
Yeah, I was talking to this woman. I kind of mentioned this before. I don't think it's before the podcast we get on, but that ran with McKirdy Trained and ran, I think, one of their marathons. And she was just talking very highly of that group and the coaching and everything else. And I think she's coached by them. And so that was the first time I heard of them. And I think I misspelt McKirdy. And so I think James reached out to me directly. So that was cool.
Yeah. James is great.
No big deal.
But a big deal.
But yeah, it is. He goes, people do it all the time, but I changed it. But still, I think I've heard, and since then I've heard of you guys have some really good things. And it seems like you guys, and I know you coach probably people doing all kinds of different types of paces and things like that, but you have a really core group running 3 hours and under or getting very close to that. So, the training's got to be pretty, not intense, but really focused.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, the concepts that apply to elite runners really apply to everybody. And I think everyone deserves that level of care. Everyone deserves that level of looking at what you're doing and asking questions and it doesn't matter. Someone's 5-hour marathon is the same for them as someone's 2:30 marathon, right? There are genetics, there are life circumstances, whatever it is, and helping folks realize like pace doesn't, I really could care less what you run pace wise. I care about how that felt. I care about how you're feeling, and I care about the goals that you have and getting you to your best, whatever that is. And that really is the philosophy at McKirdy. Sure, some folks are fast and they sign up with us and they get faster. Some folks are fast relative to themselves and sign up with us and get faster. So it's
Fast
actually
is
cool.
relative.
Fast is relative. It always is. And we have a spreadsheet that we share among coaches, and we keep track of everybody who runs a marathon. And it is so cool to see from two whatever elite who Tabello ran at place 7th at the Olympics all the way to 7 hours.
Yeah.
And we serve every single one of those people in the same way. And it is, I love it. I love it. I think it's so cool.
I love that. It's funny because somewhat relatable is I was talking to this woman that was on the podcast, and she's done phenomenal things, right? She's run like a 250 marathon, and now she has 4 kids. And after twins, it's been a really hard go for her. So
Yeah.
it was like, look, you just had twins. Like your body is going to have to adjust. It's not all of a sudden you're just going to run a 250 again. And I was like, you've done amazing things. As a matter of fact, 99% of the people probably haven't even got even close to what you can do. And right now, it's just a journey of maybe getting back there, maybe not. But look, none of us are, for the most part, except for the one you just mentioned, are going to be pro athletes. And I understand that we want to get better and do better. And I'm the same way. I'm 50 years old and I just PR'd in a half marathon. And so that was super exciting to me.
Yeah.
But that's being 50 is I'm not going to be able to PR much longer, maybe a couple more, who knows? But eventually time does catch up to you. And so I've got to be realistic. And let's do this for our health, and let's do this for fun and not beat ourselves up over not hitting these times. Let's set goals that are accomplishable and potential. And not saying that you can't do it again, but it's okay,
Yeah,
We are
time
where
is,
we are.
I always ask athletes, usually before a big race or after, but I give them the homework in their race plan of what are you going to be proud of that is not a time on a clock? What did you get better at this training cycle that has nothing to do with how race day goes? Because ultimately, look, people ask about times, of course, but maybe someone's goal was to run a marathon after not for 6 years. Maybe someone's goal was to run a half marathon and negative split. Who cares what the end time was? There's all these things that can happen that are goals that have nothing to do with how fast did you run? Yes, okay, great. But ultimately, that's not why. Right.
Yeah.
Most of us aren't out here getting paid for running some time. We're out here because
Most of
we
us
want
are
to.
not.
And I think the journey to finding your best as a runner often coincides with the journey to just finding your best, period.
Yeah.
And so much of running goes back into life, and life goes back into running because they rely on each other often. And it's a philosophy, I guess, that I have. If we're talking about coaching philosophy, like everyone can find your best, whether you're 15 years old, whether you're 70, you can find your best at whatever stage you're in. I think that's so important.
Can you talk a little bit about the philosophy specifically with McKirdy Trained, and then just how you go about maybe training some athletes and things I think folks would be interested in?
What do you mean? Like how
One is, I think you mentioned philosophy of, hey, no matter who you are, whatever goals you are, we will treat you the same. And then how do you go about also maybe putting together a plan, or what's the philosophy behind the plan? What is something, it could be a little bit different for each person. I get that. But is there a core kind of belief and thinking that you guys have?
Yeah, we talked about it. It really is, okay, what's your goal for this season of life? Where are you coming from? What is your capacity where you are?
Right.
And how do we fit in training concepts to what you're doing? I think most recently it feels simple, but are you sleeping well? Are you eating food and hydrating? And
What kind of food?
are you fueling your workouts?
Yeah.
And are you eating enough carbohydrates? The vast majority of people that I ask, what'd you have to eat all day yesterday before a long run? How did you fuel this morning? Most conversations are, you need more.
Yeah.
And checking those boxes and making sure that we're not just giving folks a training plan, we're giving folks communication daily We're giving folks feedback. We're giving folks new concepts. We're making sure that we're getting blood work checked so that our
I think
iron
I
and
saw that. I was
ferritin
like,
and
really?
vitamin D is where it needs to be.
Mhm.
I'm not going to put someone through a high stress training regimen if your vitamin D is 35
Yeah,
because you're going to get a stress fracture. I'm just not going to do that. There's
interesting.
all of these things behind just can you run 3 by 10 minutes at threshold?
Sure.
And so I think that's it. It's approaching the whole athlete from a whole person perspective and also a whole training perspective, not just here are the runs you need to do.
Yeah, I think I like that because I think it is important when you look at nutrition. Of course, I'm sure that I don't know what you guys do to help people with that, but at least you can give them some ideas. I'm not saying you guys aren't nutritionists or dietitians,
No, we're
but
not a sports RD. And
yeah,
if someone needs like some real one-on-one work in that area,
yeah,
of course, then we refer out. But just some basic concepts of are you eating 3 fists of carb to 1 fist of protein on the
mm,
days that you're carb loading? Or when you're running this workout, if you're not taking in at least 60 to 90 grams per hour and you're running a marathon paced effort, something in your long run, you are under fueling that long run.
yeah,
You're not going to see your full potential. You're not going to recover as well. Just some things like that. Or, hey, what did you have to drink during that run?
mm,
Nothing for 10 miles. Holy nuts.
yeah,
Dear goodness, right? Let's talk about that. What do you need? Oh, you cramped. Okay. Is that a strength issue in the muscle? Is that an electrolyte issue? And I would hope that's how all run coaches operate, but it really is. It's like decoding puzzles and
mhm.
learning to ask the right questions to then help further than just, I hit this time or I didn't in a workout. It's about how did you feel? How did you fuel? How are you recovering? It's the whole package.
I have to me an interesting question because my wife is 50, for example, and when women hit 45 plus, their bodies go through a different phase. You think of pregnancy, and then there's that phase that you've gone through. There's also menopause and those kinds of things. Do you train or just interested in how you might look at that because there's a huge opportunity there because life changes then too
Yeah,
for women.
it does. And I have a group of women, there's probably 4 or 5 now that I've connected with each other because empathetically, I have not experienced
Yeah,
that. I
yeah,
will at some point, but I
yeah,
haven't felt what that feels like yet. And there are some great articles, podcasts out there that I'd have to go back and find them to name them
yeah, yeah.
specifically. But I've sent them those. And a lot of it is like running at the beginning of pregnancy where like your hormones are doing crazy things. You might be up at night because you've had a hot flash and then the next day your energy is zapped. Like the
Right.
menopause thing is crazy. So
And it's real.
it's real. It's not like you made this up in your head. It's a very real physical thing that happens. And so understanding that could be a question to ask an athlete of the age where that could be happening, right? Let's make sure we're getting our hormone levels checked. Let's make sure we're getting our blood work checked. And then let's tweak your training. Make sure we're lifting weights,
Mm,
right? The older women get, especially, like we need to lift heavy weights.
love that you said that.
And so just asking questions like that, making sure that we're staying on top of it. And a couple of my athletes were running 5 days a week. Why don't we take a day out,
Yep.
add a strength day, and keep strides at the end of every run just to make sure that we're firing those fast
Mm.
twitch muscles on a more consistent basis? That's just an example. And just trying to, again, meet each person where they're at, how they're feeling, and tweak as needed.
Yeah, I would say, and I appreciate you saying that and giving some guidance there. And I probably should ask more questions like that, I think, because I think that women in general have a hard time finding some of those answers and maybe might not want to reach out to to do it. So I think it's important that we talk about that. But the other thing is that as you kind of look at just if I look at folks like completely sloth, a lot of those guys are mostly in their 30s. Gals.
Right.
Some are early 40s and maybe a little bit. But as you get older as an athlete, I'm 50 and hey, look, I'm still PRing in half marathons, but I feel it on my body a lot more. And over the years, I've had to lower my mileage rather than do more. And that's why I don't really do marathons because over the years, I don't really want to run 50 to 60 miles a week. My body doesn't, I get injured pretty easily and that could be due to other things. It's just not that fun to get injured because then you can't run at all. And so is there any guidance that you would say, and it's probably the strength thing, I do think it's important. I don't do it enough, but that you would say to runners that are 40 plus, 50?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, don't assume that your best days are over. Don't
I
assume
love it.
that and stay curious. Stay curious. What worked for you when you were 30, you're right, may not work for you when you're 55, but it doesn't mean that there's not a way of training that does work for you. And so staying open minded, I had a woman who's 56 years old run a marathon PR. And I think she can be even faster, truthfully. And so it's getting smart. Can we cross train instead of running 6 days a week? Maybe we can run four
Yeah.
and we can add 2 days of non impact fitness. And so just stay open minded, stay curious, don't assume anything,
Yeah.
and think of yourself like an experiment. Be optimistic, be positive, and definitely lift some weights. I think if that was my biggest piece of advice, it would be continue to fuel well and don't be afraid to lift heavy
Yeah.
in addition to tweaking your runs. But
It's funny that you say that. My wife is, for the last 3 years or so, she hired a coach for the 2 years, 3 years ago. And then for 2 years, she had a strength coach. She was
mhm,
like, she had a running coach, but then a strength coach as well. And you can see the difference in her. And
yeah,
she's got muscles all in her back and arms and everything. I was like, let's keep doing that.
yeah, yeah.
But I think it's
Being a
awesome.
durable runner is important.
Yeah.
And I think when you're younger, you can get away with
Hmm.
not doing as much strength training. You could get away with it, but it shows up eventually. I always say the body keeps score, whether that's a poor week of sleep or years of underfueling or years of maybe lacking in addressing some strength things. At some point, the body keeps score. Yeah, I encourage everyone to do some research on strength for running. It's a single leg sport, right? You are never on both feet at once. So lots of single
Well,
leg
that's true.
strength. And some of those muscles are accepting up to 6 times your body weight every time you land over and over. So when you think about it like that, if you're not lifting any weights ever, or you're holding 5-pound dumbbells, that's what running is. Running is
Yeah.
high rep, low weight. That's what you're doing. So in the gym, even 2 times a week, 20 minutes. That's what I tell athletes. It doesn't take much. It could be 40 minutes a week total of just picking up something pretty heavy and
Yeah.
putting it back down on one leg. Will do you good.
So smart. I love that. When you look at switching gears just a little to new runners, whatever age, but what are some things that you tell them in the beginning? Hey, I want to go run a marathon. And, that's a big feat.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge feat. First of all, let's decide on a timeline that is smart and doable without risking injury. Second of all, let's not set a time goal. Let's have your goal be run a marathon.
It's going to be your PR anyways,
It's your PR no matter what. And I love, for any level athlete, I love saying, let's get as fit as you possibly can be for that event on that day that you've chosen. And then when we're 3 weeks out and we're talking about taper, let's take a look at your workouts and decide on how we're going to pace the thing. Because someone who's new to running could be a very gifted runner.
Yeah.
And we could build slowly and methodically, and they might be able to set a pretty ambitious goal
Sure.
for their first marathon. Someone else might not necessarily, they could be new to sports in general, period.
Yeah.
Someone who's had a history of soccer
Yeah.
is going to adapt much differently
right.
than somebody who's never played a sport and decides to start running. So not judging yourself for how fast or slow you are, but just showing up every day. Again, staying curious. I love that. What can I do by race
Yeah.
day? And then getting to race day, and whatever that is, then it is executing where you're at.
But I've been running for a long time, and some of the folks that come in and maybe they're half marathon runners or they've run, in the college or whatever, and they have talent, right? And they have, yeah, I'm going to go run a marathon and I'm going to qualify for Boston. I was like, I'm sure that's going to happen. I have no doubt. I was like, but be realistic, because you never ran a marathon, and a marathon is a long ways, and you could be running those first 15, 20 miles and you're just killing it. But you don't know what's going to happen at mile 20, 21, 22, whatever. It's just, some people do qualify for their first time, but it's not that often.
Yeah. And I think if you're going to run a marathon, I'm hoping that you're doing it because you want to run a marathon, not because you're trying to qualify for a race or run a time. I'm hoping you're doing it because you want to just run a marathon, period. And also, I think people forget too, the fueling piece.
Yeah.
Matters a
100%.
lot. And if you've been running half marathons, right, and you're a really fast half marathoner, let's say you're a 65-minute half marathoner, right? You're like elite half
Pretty
marathoner.
fast.
It's really fast. you still need to learn how to fuel
Yeah.
for a marathon. And there's a gut training piece. There's just a whole lot that comes with what does it take to race 20 that if you haven't trained for it or done that type of thing before is new, no matter
Yeah.
who you are, no matter how long you've been running. So it's important to realize that. And I think with runners who haven't run a marathon, and it's their first one, I think that's one of the biggest changes for a lot of folks. If you've been running 40 miles a week, your mileage actually might not go up that much aside
Yeah.
from your long run, but how you fuel that long run
Mm.
and understanding marathon concepts, it's new territory. It's new territory.
Yeah, I've talked to people that are like, yeah, I took maybe 1 or 2 goos during a marathon race. And I'm like, that's probably not enough. Like, I'm not sure if,
I'm like, but I did it. Like, you have left a lot on
of
the
course you
table
did it.
then. Like,
Yeah.
you've left a lot on the table. And that's what I tell people.
Mm.
Folks, 16-mile, 18-mile long run that takes them 2.5 hours. I had
Yeah.
one gel. I'm glad you can do that with
Mhm.
one gel. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying it's not optimal.
That's right.
You're not training yourself for race day because when you're 8 weeks out from a marathon, that's the time. Does this fuel work for me?
Yeah.
How does it feel to take a gel at mile 16? If you're running 17 miles and you're about to take a gel at 16, please take it. You're going to see how your stomach reacts. It's going to be carbs that start your recovery when you're done. There's no harm. You're not going to overfuel.
Yeah.
I promise. You're not going to overfuel. And so even that as a concept with runners new to the marathon, I think is so important, making sure that we are setting ourselves up for race day success, not ignoring things because we can ignore them, right? It's, how can I make this a dress rehearsal every weekend for my big day?
We covered a lot of ground. Is there anything that you were like, man, he should have asked this thing about me or about coaching or whatever that I didn't ask, or any kind of words of wisdom or any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot, honestly. I appreciate you having on. I had a good time talking. If anyone has questions for me about anything that we talked about on this episode, you can absolutely come my way. If I have to leave anyone with anything, it's don't ever count yourself out and don't be afraid to set big goals, no matter how fast or slow you think you are or how long you have or haven't been running. Everyone deserves a chance to find their best.
And I think a lot people like to compare themselves to others and say, I'm not as fast as, or I can't do this. I'm slow. Who cares?
That's
They're
great
doing it,
because
you know?
they're them and you're you,
Yeah.
and their life is theirs and yours is yours, and ultimately it's you, and that's it. So let's build each other up. Like, we can all sit in the same room. We can all be proud of each other. It doesn't cost you anything to be happy for somebody else and to be proud of
Exactly.
yourself. It costs nothing. I love that. Let's lift one another up. If you're in DFW area, yeah, some people are going to be faster than you, always. Some people are going to be slower than
There's
you,
always people
always.
faster and slow. Always.
This is a fact, right? So we work on ourselves. We set goals that are ambitious for ourselves, and we stay curious. That's my favorite thing to say.
I love that. Ruth, this has been really great. Really appreciate you coming on. And to our listeners, thanks so much for coming on to DFW Running Talk and listening to us once again. Please make sure to rate and review us. And also go to dfwrunningtalk.substack.com and get our newsletter and subscribe there. Until next time, Ruth, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it.